The alien girl hid behind a pile of broken crates. Her skin was soft and light purple, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Her clothes were torn, and her small hands clutched a sharp metal piece, her only weapon. She was shaking, not from cold, but from fear. She had seen the stories. She had heard the whispers. Humans eat aliens. They skin you and wear your bones. If you ever see one, run, hide, or die. So when the tall shadow appeared near the edge of the ruined camp, her heart stopped. The human walked slowly, one hand holding his side, the other gripping a strange weapon. Blood ran down his arm, dark and thick. He looked like death. His face was rough, dirty, and tired. His armor was cracked. He was alone. The girl didn't move, didn't breathe. She watched as the human scanned the area, his eyes sharp like a hunter. Then he looked straight at her hiding place. Her body froze. The human didn't speak. He dropped his weapon to the ground, clink hand, sat down near the fire pit. With slow, careful movements, he pulled a small pack from his belt. She could smell the food from far away. He opened it, looked at it, and then he didn't eat it. He placed the food down, pushed it toward her hiding spot, and sat back. The alien girl blinked. He wasn't coming closer. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't setting a trap. He just sat there, looking tired, hurt but calm. She didn't understand. Was this a trick? Slowly, she peeked out. Big glowing eyes locked on the food. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. The human heard the sound. He didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. He simply reached into his pack again and pulled out a small metal flask. He took one sip, then placed it beside the food, 2 offerings. Still, she didn't move. She waited. Minutes passed, then hours. Darkness wrapped the broken camp in cold silence. The human leaned back against a crate, his eyes half closed. He looked like he might sleep sitting up. The fire glowed soft and warm between them. Finally, her hunger was too much. The alien girl crawled forward, step by step, like a frightened animal. Her eyes stayed on the human, her tiny blade tight in her grip. He didn't react. He stayed still. She reached the food, sniffed it, then snatched it, jumping back like it might explode, but nothing happened. She slowly ate, piece by piece, eyes wet with confusion. It was warm, soft, good. Her whole body trembled, not just from the food, but from a strange feeling she couldn't name. Why hadn't he stopped her? Why hadn't he tried to take her? She looked at him again. He was watching her now, not with hunger, not with evil, but with sadness. The fire cracked between them. Finally, she found her voice. "Why?" she whispered. Her language was broken, but clear. The human tilted his head. She pointed at the food. "Why give? You, not eat." He looked down, touched his stomach, shrugged. "You were hungrier," he said. She didn't understand all his words, but his tone. It wasn't cruel. "You don't want to eat me?" she asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. The human's eyes widened. He shook his head. "What? No," he said. "I don't eat people." Her heart beat louder. She took a few steps closer, still unsure. "You, human. You hunt us." He didn't answer right away. Then he looked up at the stars above and said, "I used to fight, but not anymore. I don't want to hurt anyone." She watched him carefully. The stars reflected in her big, glowing eyes. He looked tired, hurt, lonely, just like her. She sat down across the fire, not too close, but no longer hiding. Neither of them spoke for a while. Then the human took off. His coat, his thick outer layer, slid it across the dirt toward her. She flinched, but then gently picked it up. It was heavy, warm, it smelled strange. She wrapped it around herself. It was the first warmth she had felt in days. The human leaned back, closed his eyes, and whispered, "Good night." She watched him, still unsure, still afraid. But for the first time since the war began, she didn't feel like prey. She felt seen, and the scariest part wasn't that he might eat her. It was the thought that maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he was hungry for something else, something she couldn't understand yet, something human. The next morning, the alien girl opened her eyes slowly. The big coat was still wrapped around her small body. It smelled like fire, metal, and something strange, something human. Her fingers tightened around the edges. She had not dreamed. The human was real, and he was still there. He sat with his back to her, staring at the ruined sky. His head was down. He looked like a stone statue, silent, unmoving. The fire had gone out. Cold wind blew through the camp. Broken crates and burned machines lay everywhere, reminders of the recent war. The girl sat up, her stomach still full from last night. The human turned slightly, just enough to place something on the ground near her, a protein bar. Then, without saying a word, he stood and walked away. She blinked. Why? Where was he going? He didn't even look at her. He just limped to the edge of the ruined base and disappeared behind a half-broken wall. Cautiously, the girl picked up the bar. She sniffed it, then nibbled. It tasted better than anything she'd ever had on the run. But what shocked her most was that he had given it to her again, and eaten nothing himself. Hours passed. She stayed under the coat, chewing slowly and watching the wind blow ash and dust around the camp. She waited. Maybe he was gone. Maybe it was all a trick, and now others would come. But no one came. Then she heard a sound. The human returned, carrying a rusted metal bucket filled with water and a few wild fruits. His face looked tired. His limp was worse. He had found nothing good. The fruits were bruised, the water murky. But still, he offered them to her first. She stared at him. "You hungry?" she said slowly. He smiled weakly. "You first." She shook her head. "You need? I eat yesterday." The human sat down across from her. "You're just a kid," he said. "I can wait." She frowned. "What is kid?" He pointed to her, then to himself. "You small. Me old, you need more." Her brow furrowed. She had never met a human who gave before taking. Her people said humans were greedy, violent, and selfish. But this one, it was hurting. He was cold, he was starving. And still, he gave her everything. Later, that night, a storm rolled in. The sky turned green and purple with lightning. Wind howled like a beast. The broken camp offered little shelter. The human gathered old tarp and wires to create a small tent between two crates. It wasn't perfect, but it blocked the rain. He crawled inside and motioned for her to join. She hesitated, then stepped in. Inside the small space, their shoulders nearly touched. Water dripped outside. The ground was wet, but under the tarp it was warm thanks to the human's coat and his body heat. He sat cross-legged, hands resting in his lap, careful not to move too much. The alien girl pulled the coat tighter around her. Her voice was soft. "Why help me?" The human didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because no one helped me once, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way." She tilted her head. "You were alone too." He nodded. The wind screamed outside. She looked at his injured leg. Blood had soaked into the cloth without thinking. She reached out with one of her long fingers and touched the wound gently. He flinched but didn't pull away. "You hurt," she said. "It's nothing," he replied. She frowned. "You lie." He chuckled. "Maybe a little." They sat like that for a while, quiet, close. The rain softened. Then she said, "I was told humans are monsters." He looked at her, surprised. "I was told aliens are dangerous," he replied. She gave a small, strange laugh. "We both wrong." He nodded slowly. "Seems like it." When she fell asleep beside him, her head leaning softly on his shoulder, he didn't move. His stomach growled. His vision blurred from the pain in his leg and the hunger in his belly. But still, he didn't wake her. He stayed still, because for the first time in a long time, someone trusted him. And that was worth more than food. That was worth more than safety. As the night passed, he whispered quietly into the air, thinking she couldn't. "Here, I'm not hungry for food anymore." The alien girl's ears twitched. She heard him, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like prey. She felt important. The sun rose behind broken buildings and metal towers. The alien girl woke up with her, head still resting on the human shoulder. His body was warm, his breathing soft. She sat up quickly, blinking fast. She had gotten too close, too comfortable. She pulled away and moved to the edge of the tarp, sitting by herself again. Her heart beat hard in her chest. Why was she acting like this? Why was she not afraid anymore? She looked at the human. His leg was still bleeding. His lips were dry. He hadn't eaten for 2 days, and yet it protected her, fed her, even given her his coat. But why? No one ever helped for free. Out. On her planet. Not after the war. She chewed her lip and stared at him. Then a thought came. What if this was a trap? What if he was just waiting for her to drop her guard? She couldn't risk it. She had to leave. As quietly as she could, she packed the half-eaten fruit into a small pouch she found nearby. Then she stepped away from the camp, one slow step at a time. The human didn't stir. She turned and ran. The ruins were wide and silent. She moved quickly through the dust, stepping over wires and scrap. Her feet bled on sharp rocks, but she didn't stop. Her heart screamed, "Get away! Stay alive!" She crossed a fallen bridge and ducked under a pipe. Her small alien body moved like a shadow. But the fear in her chest kept growing. Why did leaving feel so wrong? She found an old tunnel. A metal sign above it read in broken alien script, "Shelter Level 3." She crawled inside, panting, heart racing. She thought she would feel safer, but all she felt was cold and alone. Her stomach growled again. She pulled out the fruit and took a bite. It didn't taste the same. Suddenly, a soft growl echoed through the tunnel. She froze. Something moved in the shadows. She turned and saw a pair of yellow eyes dot alien poachers. Tall, thin, wearing bone masks. They were known across the stars. They didn't care about humans or aliens. They only cared about money. And she, surprise. They hissed and pointed at her. She screamed and ran. The tunnel shook with her footsteps. Behind her, the poachers chased, shouting in a strange tongue. She turned corners, leaped over rubble, but they were fast. Too fast. Then a hand grabbed her ankle. She fell hard, scraping her knees. A poacher loomed over her, grabbing her by the arm. She screamed again, kicked, suddenly dash. Boom. A flash of light burst through the tunnel. A human figure charged in, roaring like thunder. It was him, the human. He had followed her. He had come for her. He slammed into the poacher, tackling him to the ground. The other raised a weapon, but the human ducked and swung a metal pipe, knocking it away. "Run," he shouted to the girl. But she didn't run. She stood frozen, watching him fight for her again, even with a wounded leg, even when she had left him behind. The battle ended fast. The poachers fled, limping and bleeding. The human dropped the pipe and fell to one knee. Gasping, the alien girl ran to him. "I'm sorry," she cried, holding his arm. I thought you would hurt me." He looked at her through pain-filled eyes. "And did I?" She shook her head, tears falling. "No, you helped me." "Again?" He smiled, weakly. "Then don't run next time." She nodded, then added, "I came back, didn't I?" He chuckled softly, holding his ribs. "You screamed so loud, I thought you were dying," Kay said. "I was scared," she replied. "Not of them, of you, of me." She looked away. "Because I didn't want to care about you." His smile faded, and then, gently, he touched her shoulder. "It's okay to care," he said. "Even after war, even after pain." She leaned her forehead against his. "I'm sorry I ran. I'm just glad you came back," he whispered. The tunnel was quiet now. The poachers were gone. And inside the broken shelter, something was repaired. With metal or tools, but with trust, real trust, the kind that grows not from safety, but from risking everything for someone else. The rain had returned. Thick drops pounded the roof of their tiny shelter. The alien girl sat close to the fire, wrapping the human's coat tightly around herself. The flames danced in her wide eyes. Her mind was full, her chest heavy. The human sat across from her, pressing a cloth against his side. Blood still leaked from his old wound. He didn't complain. He never did. She watched him quietly. He had saved her again. He had followed her even, with his injured leg. She had left him, and still he came back. She couldn't hold it in anymore. She leaned forward and asked softly, "What do you want from me?" The human didn't respond at first. He looked surprised like. The question hurt more than his wound. She repeated it, louder this time. "You gave me food. Your coat. You fought for me. Twice. You hurt. You bleed. You stay." Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" The human leaned back against the crate, staring at the fire now. His voice was calm, low. "Because you needed help." "No," she said firmly, shaking her head. "Others helped before. They always wanted something. To touch me, to own me, or to sell me. You are human. You must want something." He sighed. "You're not a thing. I don't want to use you. I just didn't want you to be alone." Her heart skipped. "What does that mean?" He looked up at her, his face gentle, tired. "It means I've been alone. For a long time. I know how it feels. And no one deserves that." She blinked slowly. Her hands tightened on the coat. "Even an alien like me?" she asked. The human smiled. "Especially you." Silence followed. Only the fire cracked. The girl felt like her world was shifting. Everything she had been told about humans, about war, about kindness was breaking apart. And this human wasn't trying to fix her or take her. He just sat there, hurting, and still smiled at her. Why? She reached out slowly and touched his hand. He didn't pull away. His skin was rough, warm. "You confuse me," she whispered. He chuckled. "I confuse myself too." That night, she didn't sleep far away like before. She stayed close, not touching, but not afraid. In the quiet darkness, she asked one more question. "Do you miss your people?" He was silent for a long time, then said, "They're gone. My squad, my family, all of them." "I'm sorry," she whispered. He nodded. "Me too." In the morning, she woke before him. The rain had stopped. Birds, strange, alien birds, sang. In the distance, she looked at the human's sleeping face. He looked peaceful, even with the scar across his cheek and the dirt on his skin. She reached out and gently pulled the coat up to his chin. He stirred slightly, but didn't wake. She smiled, just a little. Then she left the shelter and walked into the ruins. This time, not to run away. She was searching. Hours later, she returned. He was sitting by the fire again, leg wrapped, a small smile on his face. She held something behind her back. "What did you find?" he asked. She brought it out, a bundle of glowing roots, healing moss, and a small sealed water pack. "For you," she said. "You gave me food. I give now." The human looked at the items in her hands. Then he looked at her, and for a moment, something soft passed between them. Not fear, not duty, but care. "You didn't have to," he whispered. "But I wanted to," she replied. He took the supplies with a quiet thank you. As he drank the water, she sat beside him. "Will you leave when you're healed?" she asked. He looked at the sky, then at her. "Do you want me to?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "No." He smiled again. "Then I'll stay." She leaned against his arm now, not because she was cold, but because she felt safe. He had told her once, "I don't eat people." Now she believed him. But the real truth, he wasn't hungry for her body. He wasn't hungry for control. He was just hungry to matter. And she understood that now, because so was she. The days passed slowly. The alien girl and the human made a strange life in the ruins. They shared food, stories, and silence. The fear between them had melted like morning frost. He taught her human words. She showed him safe places to find herbs and clean water. Sometimes she laughed, and when she laughed, the human looked at her like she was sunlight. But peace in a broken world never lasts. And someone was watching. It began with a sound, a distant worry in the wind. The girl's ears twitched. She paused while gathering fruit near the edge of the camp. Her eyes narrowed. That sound wasn't nature. It was a drone, not one of theirs. It belonged to the enemy. She ran back to the shelter, her heart pounding. The human stood near the fire, warming his hands. "They're coming," she whispered. He turned, serious at once. "How many?" "I don't know. I saw one drone. 'Twas scanning, not local, not wild." He grabbed his old weapon, still half broken, but usable. "They found you," he said. "No," she replied. "They found us." That night, they didn't sleep. They packed what little they had: dried roots, fruit, and clean water. The human checked the edges of the camp, setting traps with wire and scrap. The girl helped without needing to be told. She didn't want to leave him. Not now. Not ever. The next morning, the sky was quiet. Too quiet. Then the attack came. 3 shadows dropped from the sky, crashing into the ruins with metal boots and armored suits. They weren't poachers. They were hunters. Well-armed, trained. Cold One pointed at the girl. Target confirmed. Capture the asset. Kill the human if needed. She stepped back, trembling, her hands balled into fists. "I'm not an asset," she said. "I'm not yours." The lead hunter raised his rifle. The human didn't wait. He charged. The first hunter fired but missed. The human slammed into him with a scrap shield, knocking him into a wall. He turned and tackled the second before they could aim. The girl screamed as the third grabbed her arm. "Let go," she shouted, twisting hard. The hunter snarled. "Your property." A small blade flashed in her hand. She cut him across the face and broke free. The fight was chaos. The human was bleeding again, limping worse than ever, but he didn't stop. He fought with everything he had. Not for glory. Not for revenge. For her. The girl found a broken energy cannon nearby, small, but active. She grabbed it and aimed at the lead hunter. "Stay away from him," she cried. The hunter laughed. "You won't fire." She did. The blast sent him flying. Smoke and fire filled the air. The other 2 ran, dragging the wounded leader with them. They were retreating. They hadn't expected both the human and the girl to fight back together when it was over. The girl dropped the cannon and ran to the human. He was on the ground, blood on his side, chest rising fast. She fell beside him. "Don't die," she whispered. "Please don't die." He smiled weakly, still breathing. Tears welled in her eyes. "Why did you do that?" "I told you before," he said. "No one deserves to be alone." "You almost died," she cried. "You were worth it." Her voice cracked. "I'm not." He reached up and touched her cheek gently. "You are to me." She pressed her forehead to his, our tears mixing with sweat and ash. Then she said the words, slowly, carefully, in his language. "You are not my enemy." He whispered back, "You never were." That night, under a burning sky, she stayed by his side. She cleaned his wounds, covered him in his own coat, and sang a song from her people, a lullaby meant to keep the spirits away. She had no family left, no home. But now, she had someone, and she wasn't going to lose him. In the silence, between stars, both alien and human learned something war had never taught them. That love doesn't care what species you are, it just knows who's worth fighting for. Asterisk, the fire was small, the wind cold. The alien girl sat beside the human, gently wiping blood from his chest with a torn piece of cloth. His skin was pale, his breaths shallow. His eyes opened for a second, then closed again. She whispered his name softly, but he didn't answer. Her hands trembled. She looked around the ruined camp, now blackened from the fight. Crates were broken, smoke still rose from the spot where she had fired the cannon. The hunters had retreated, but they had left damage behind, and now? The one who had protected her was barely holding on. She pulled out the pouch of glowing roots she had found earlier. Quickly, she crushed them with a stone and mixed them with rainwater. The paste glowed faintly blue. "It will sting," she whispered, though he couldn't hear her. She spread it gently over his wound. He flinched, even unconscious. Tears gathered in her eyes. "You shouldn't have fought," she said, voice cracking. "You should have let them take me." But even as she said it, she didn't mean it, because the thought of losing him tore something inside her she didn't know existed. The night dragged on. She didn't sleep. She stayed beside him, changing the cloth, cooling his forehead, whispering things she had never said to anyone. "I used to hate your kind," she said. "You came from the sky and brought fire and machines. You destroyed homes, killed families." Her voice grew smaller. "But you brought something else." She touched his hand. "You brought kindness." By morning, he was burning with fever. Taught his wound was infected. The roots helped, but not enough. She had to act. She stood and tied the coat around herself like a cape. Then she grabbed the small knife he had once given her and headed toward the hills. There was only one place that might have what he needed, a forbidden outpost. Alien-built, abandoned during the last wave of war. Rumors said healing tech remained there if the scavengers hadn't stolen it. She had no time to think. She ran. The outpost was half buried in vines and rust. Her feet moved fast through the maze of broken doors and shattered glass. Inside, strange lights blinked weakly. She searched room after room. Her heart beat like a drum. At last, she found a medical case. Inside were 2 vials and an injector. Still glowing green, just she snatched it and turned to run. That's when she heard a voice. "Stop." She froze. A figure stepped from the shadows. Another alien girl, older, armed. "What are you doing here?" The girl asked sharply. "I need this," she replied. "A human is dying." The other alien's eyes narrowed. "You're helping a human." "I'm not helping a human," she said firmly. "I'm helping him." She turned and ran before the girl could reply. Back at the camp, the human was barely breathing. She dropped to her knees, loaded the injector, and pressed it to his neck. Click, the medicine entered his body. She held her breath for long minutes. Nothing happened. Then his chest rose deeper, stronger. He groaned. His eyes opened. "Hey," he whispered. She gasped and covered her mouth, tears falling freely now. "You came back," he said weakly. "Of course I came back," she cried. "You think I'd let you die?" He smiled. "I wouldn't blame you." She shook her head. "No more of that. You don't get to leave me." He sat up slowly, groaning but alive. She helped him sip water. He looked at her, really looked at her. "You risked everything for me," he said. She nodded. "You did the same." They sat in silence. Then, softly, she said, "I'm scared." "Of what?" She didn't answer right away, then said, "Of what I feel when I look at you." He took her hand gently. "I'm scared too," he whispered, "but I don't want to run from it." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I thought love was for my kind only," she said. "So did I," he replied. That night, she held his hand as he slept. She still didn't understand everything. The war, the pain, the loss. But one thing was clear. Her heart had changed, and it wasn't because he saved her. It was because he never asked for anything. In return, he just gave. And now, so would she. The sun rose through the broken sky, painting the ruins gold dot. Birds chirped. Wind moved through the trees. For the first time in many days, the world felt calm. The alien girl sat beside the human as he slowly woke up. His skin was no longer cold. His breath was steady. Color had returned to his face. He opened his eyes and smiled weakly. "You stayed," he whispered. She smiled back. "Of course, I stayed." He tried to sit up, but winced. "Easy," she said, helping him. He looked around. The ruined camp, scorched walls, scattered supplies, broken traps, and then looked at her. "You saved me," he said. She nodded. "Now we're even." "No," he said softly. "You gave more." They shared the last fruit between them. He ate slowly, grateful. She watched him carefully, as if making sure he didn't vanish. Then she said, "Do you remember when I thought you would eat me?" He laughed gently because of his ribs. "You looked at me like I was a monster." "You were," she teased, poking his arm. "A strange, tall, tired monster." He grinned. "And you were a scared little shadow with claws." She nodded. "But you didn't run." He met her eyes. "Because I saw someone worth saving." That evening, they sat under the stars. No fire. No fear. Just them. The human pointed up. "That one's Earth," he said, showing her a faint blue dot. "My home. Far away." She stared. "Will you go back?" He hesitated. "I could," he said. "But everything I want is here." She blinked. "Here." He looked at her, double quotes. "Yes, with you." Her heart skipped. She looked down. Her voice was small. "But I'm not human. Strange. People fear me." "I don't," he said. "You're kind, strong, brave. You're the reason I'm still alive," she whispered. "You're the reason I still believe in good things." Suddenly, she stood up and walked into the shadows. He called after her, confused. "What's wrong?" She returned a moment later, holding a small object wrapped in cloth. "I've been keeping this," she said. She knelt and opened it. Inside was a piece of alien jewelry, simple, silver, shaped like a leaf. "In my culture," she said slowly, "when someone gives this, it means they are part of your heart, forever." She held it out to him. His hands shook as he took it. "Why me?" he asked, his voice raw. "Because when I was nothing." She said, "You saw someone." Tears filled his eyes. He reached into his own pouch and pulled out a small metal tag. A human ID badge, scratched and worn. He hung it around her neck. "I don't have jewelry," he said. "But this was the only thing I had from my past life. It means I'm not alone anymore." They sat close after that, her head on his shoulder, and for the first time since the war, neither of them felt lost. They weren't afraid of each other anymore. They weren't enemies. They were something new. Later that night, the girl asked quietly, "What were you really hungry for when you first found me?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Not food." She smiled, already knowing. "Then what?" she asked. He turned his head, looked into her eyes, and whispered, "Connection." And just like that, she understood everything. His hunger was never for her body, not for control, not even for survival. It was for warmth, for meaning, for someone to say, "I see you." And now, both of them had it. They had each other by morning. They walked away from the ruined campsite. By side, not as prey and hunter, not as alien and human, but as two souls who met at the edge of fear. And found something stronger than war, stronger than pain, and stronger than any hunger: love.